December 23rd, 1996, West Cork, Ireland, a place so quiet people don't even lock their doors. That's where Sophie Toscan du Plantier is spending a few days. She's a French film producer. She bought this small holiday home to escape Paris. No crowds, no stress, just silence. That evening, Sophie makes a few phone calls. Normal conversations, nothing strange. She speaks to her husband in France. Everything sounds fine. No fear, no sign that anything is wrong. And then the night comes. Sometimes during that night, something happens outside her house. We don't know the exact time, but we do know this. Sophie ends up leaving the safety of her home in the dark, in the cold, wearing light clothing. That alone is strange. Why would she go outside that night? Now, let's look at the crime scene. The next morning, a neighbor finds her body near the house, outside, not inside. That's important because it means whatever happened started outside or moved outside. Investigators arrive. They begin to piece things together. There are signs of a violent attack. She was struck multiple times. The area shows signs of struggle. And nearby, there are objects that could have been used in the attack. A concrete block, other items from around the property. So, this wasn't something brought to the scene. The attacker used what was already there. That suggests something sudden, something unplanned, or someone improvising. Now, let's think carefully. No forced entry inside the house. That tells us something very important. She either left the home on her own or opened the door willingly. So, ask yourself, did she hear something? Did someone call her outside? Did she recognize the person? Because people don't just walk out into the dark for no reason. Inside the house, investigators notice something else. A wine bottle, 2 glasses. Now, this is debated, but it raises question. Was she alone that evening, or was someone with her before everything happened? There are also reports of a phone call made that night. Sophie tried to reach someone, but didn't get through. Why was she calling? Was she worried about something? Now we move to footprints. This is where things get interesting. Investigators found marks near the scene, some leading away from the house, but here is the problem. The evidence from the scene wasn't perfectly preserved, and over time questions were raised about how well everything was handled. Could key detail have been lost? Now, very early in the investigation, attention turns into one man, Ian Bailey. He's a journalist living in the same area, and here is why police focus on him. He was known locally. He had visible scratch on his hand and face shortly after the murder. He wrote about the case early. He made statements about it. Some people said he seems too interested, but let's break this down properly. The scratches, Bailey said they come from cutting a tree. That's his explanation. But are those injuries consistent with the struggle, or could they really come from work outside? This one of the key debated in the case. Then there is behavior. Some witnesses claim Bailey made comments almost like he knew details, but later some of those witnesses' statements were changed. Some were even withdrawn. So now we have to ask, were those statements reliable or not? Now, here is the most important part. Despite years of investigation, there was no DNA evidence linking him to the scene, no confirmed weapon tied directly to him, no witness placing him at the exact moment of the attack, and because of that, Irish prosecutors decide there was no enough evidence to charge him with murder. But the story doesn't end there. France gets involved because Sophie was French. A French investigation begins, and years later, in 2019, a French court finds Ian Bailey guilty, even though he is not present in absentia. They sentence him. So now we have a major contradiction. Ireland, not enough evidence to charge. France, enough to convict. Same case, different conclusions. So now the question becomes, what evidence did France rely on? And was it stronger or interpreted differently? Back in Ireland, the case stays open, unsolved, and over time more questions appear about the investigation itself. Some critics say police focused too quickly on Ian Bailey, and when that happened, other possibilities can be ignored. So let's explore that. Could someone else was or have been involved? Someone who knew Sophie was there, someone who saw her arrive, someone who watched her routine. Remember, this house was isolated, but not invisible. People knew about it, people knew she visited, so we have to ask, was she targeted, or was this a chance encounter? Now, let's go back to the night again. Sophie leaves the house. No coat, no proper outdoor clothing. That suggests urgency. She didn't plan to be outside long. So what made her step out? A noise, a voice, someone at the door. Then the attack happens. Outside. Violent, close, personal. This wasn't distant. This wasn't from far away. This was direct. Now think about the weapon used. Object from the scene. That tells us the attacker didn't necessarily come prepared, or they adapt in the moment, and then they leave into the dark. No witnesses, no clear trail. Years pass. The case become one of Ireland's most talked about mysteries. Documentaries, investigations, debates, still no answer. And then 2024, Ian Bailey dies. And with that, the only person ever seriously linked to the case is gone. So now we are left with this: a crime with no conviction in Ireland, a suspect convicted in another country, no definitive physical evidence, and a timeline that still raises question. Now, I want you to think like a detective. Forget opinions, just look at the facts. A woman alone goes outside at night. A violent attack using nearby object. No forced entry, no confirmed DNA link. A suspect with circumstantial evidence but no charge. So ask yourself carefully. Did investigators focus too much on one man? Or was he truly the closest to the truth? And if something was missed, what was it? Because in cases like this, the smallest detail can change everything. A single moment, a single decision, a single assumption. And somewhere in this case, one of those things may have gone wrong. So now I leave it to you. Based on everything you've seen, everything you've heard, what do you think happened that night in West Cork? Because until that answer is proven, this case is still open. Thank you.